The VP's face was purple with rage when he said it. Veins up his neck. Finger stabbing the air like it could puncture me. "You're off the yard until you publicly apologize to my son." I nodded. Slow. Respectful. The kind of nod people mistake for submission. "Okay," I said. That was the moment he lost. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain that his son had cornered mine behind the equipment shed and called him something that would stay with him for life. I didn't mention the bruises or the witness statements or the security cameras I personally approved the budget for 2 years earlier. I just nodded, because men like him don't hear explanations. They hear defiance. And I wasn't defiant. I was patient. I met Richard Vale 14 years ago, in a glass conference room that smelled like fresh carpet and ambition. He was charming back then. All teeth and confidence. The kind of man who shook your hand like you'd already agreed to trust him. We built the company together. He brought connections. I brought structure. He loved the spotlight. I loved the quiet power behind it. He called me his anchor, his conscience. His guy, who made sure we didn't screw ourselves. I believed him. When my wife died, Richard was the one who told me to take time. When my son was born, he sent a silver frame engraved with the company logo and the words "Family First." We drank together, planned together, won together. That's why the betrayal hurt the way it did. Not like a knife, like rot. It started small. It always does. Meetings I wasn't invited to. Decisions made without my signature. A new compliance officer, who reported to him instead of legal. Jokes at my expense, disguised as praise. "You know how he is," Richard would say, smiling. Old school. Careful. Careful became slow. Slow became unnecessary. Then came the email. It was forwarded by mistake. Or arrogance. Hard to tell the difference when someone thinks they're untouchable. "We need him out before Q4. The board will follow if legal signs off. I'll handle the optics." I stared at the screen for a full minute. No anger. No panic. Just clarity. I closed my laptop and went home to make dinner for my son. The yard incident happened 3 weeks later. Company family day. Open campus. Kids everywhere. Laughter echoing off steel and glass. That's where Richard's son learned what kind of man his father was. He shoved mine. Called him weak. Said his dad was on borrowed time. My son didn't cry. He just stood there. Still. The way I taught him. Security intervened. Reports were written. Witnesses logged. Richard went nuclear. He stormed into my office like he owned it. Like I hadn't built half of what surrounded us. That's when he yelled. That's when I nodded. That night, I didn't sleep. I planned, not revenge. Justice has rules. Revenge is sloppy. Justice is clean. I started with documents. Old ones. The kind people forget about because they're boring. Amendments. Side letters. Equity clauses buried beneath optimism. Richard had made one mistake early on. He'd rushed. Trusted me to handle the details. I did. The next morning, I called legal. Not our legal. Mine. I cleared my desk by noon. No dramatics. No speeches. I packed my things like a man who knew exactly where he was going. I left the silver frame behind. Face down. At 20:17 p.m., Richard sent an all-hands email announcing my temporary leave pending review. At 2019, my lawyer filed an injunction. At 2021, the board received copies of everything Richard had tried to bury. At 2030, legal burst through his office door. "Seer." Someone shouted, voice cracking. "Tell me you didn't." I wasn't there to see it, but I didn't need to be. They called me that evening. The board chair sounded tired, older than he had the day before. "We need you back," he said. I declined. I told him I was busy. The fallout was surgical. Richard hadn't just tried to push me out. He'd falsified reports, retaliated against a protected complaint, manipulated internal investigations, and worst of all, used company influence to intimidate a child. That part sealed it. The apology he demanded, he gave it, on camera. Publicly. Voice shaking. Son beside him. The words tasted like ash in his mouth. He resigned 2 days later. The severance was revoked. The shares reverted. The company survived. I didn't go back. I took my son to school the next morning, walked him to the gate, watched him disappear into the crowd. He turned once. Smiled. That was the payoff. Not the headlines. Not the boardroom silence. Not Richard's name being scrubbed from the website like he'd never existed. Just that smile. I don't hate Richard. Hate is loud. Messy. I understand him. Men like him mistake kindness for weakness. Silence for surrender. Patience for fear. They forget that some of us are quiet because we're counting. I nodded because I had already won. And he didn't even know the game was over.